Hey everyone, Mherex here, bringing you another video. This one I'm going to be kind of doing breakdown for the boss battle, red boss battle. Um, this is a really short turnaround. I don't like doing these videos a ton without more prep time than this, so I'm sure I'm going to miss some stuff, but I will do the best I can. Silence gems do 800% more damage. Um, no one for silence gems that I personally like this boss. I think it's a trap, personally. If you want to know, hit something and then times it by 9, and that's how hard you'll hit. Like Zombie Gunther, I think, with like a moment and stuff, probably does some of the most silence gems, and he's gonna do like probably 90 million, 100 million with a silence gem move, and then he'll break them purple, and I don't know, usually hit probably like another 70 to 100 million, so he would probably be one of the best. Anyway, I think that's a trap. Don't worry about the silence gems, in my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. Pyro gems 900%, that'll definitely come into play. And red gems 500% also come into play. No KO. Single traps don't work. Area traps do, singles don't. Traps off of subs also work. um Damage per turn, 13 million. It goes higher every turn. Standard there, no big deal. Shield, 150 red gems. That's a decent amount. Increase boss move damage by 100% for each red gem on the board. Up to this buff will last 2 turns, up to 1. It's going to be there every time unless you use neutralize to remove it. And then you're going to need to have unfreeze ready for turn 2 if you don't win turn 1, as per usual. Pretty standard boss these days. Most of them are this way. Freeze turn 2, shield turn 3, neutralize to remove the buff, right? So let's take a look at the lineup cards. Boss has like 1.5 billion health. Gonna be hard for like a solo one shot. There's some people that can hit really hard though. This is probably what mine will look like. But I will start with defensive. Jacob, you can see my video on him. I think he'll push close to 1 billion with a crazy setup. Solo. I did not do a video on solo, but solo this way will be absolutely ridiculous with the moment and stuff. Keep in mind, these are all 9 times, all of these pyro gems, and they're going to be buffed by 265% buff with the boss buff. Solo's going to hit super hard. He has 99 MP, so you'll be able to start with chucking the pyro gems and then hitting the finisher. I think there's a good chance Solo might be the best for this boss, actually. You'll be able to get 2 cycles in, and I think with the 2 cycles, he may one-shot it. It'll be really close. Entourage for him, you'd want to run very specifically, though, all of the pyro gem damage people. So what I mean is you would want Maxine if you can, and you would want Batista at 200%. So Maxine, 4 more pyros. Batista, you're going to want for 200% pyro gem damage, because that's just gravy, especially with the buff. So you'd put him in there, and then you would want May. I don't think I've ran this on this account. Yeah. May and Tamatonga. That would be like your perfect setup for him. Ideal. And then you're generating 46 more, like 46 pyro gems, 47. So almost the entire board is going to be that buff, and then you're blowing it up, and then May adds 100%, Batista 200%, that's 300% bonus there. And then, you know, Tamatonga with the purples being their pyros is going to add some, and Maxine her 18k flat. So that's how I'd run him. I think he has a chance to be the best, actually, this boss, if you have the moment and a gem damage strap, Piper plate, etc. So he's worth talking about. Jacob, like I said, gonna be crazy. Couple sleeper guys, maybe. If you haven't thought about it, if you have a decent strap for Bubba, it'll depend how many buffs you can get. If you have the boat status plate, you can hit this and get 350% red gem buff every time. So place your traps and then blow them up and make them purple, and then just hit it again. Like, I don't know if you could get that. I don't think you can get it 3 times though. If you could get it 3 times and then hit the finisher turn 1, that would be really spicy. Either way, he makes reds as well. So Bubba, kind of a wild card, could be very, very good set up that way. Defensive is actually my favorite for this boss. I think defensive is going to be have the best options. Hall of Fame Foley, if you have his gears and stuff, you can do crazy stuff. There's a really funky um, Juggernaut set with subs and then turning them into multiplies. The order is going to be difficult for most people, so this build wouldn't be for everyone. You need to put your countdown or your Juggernaut gems down right so you keep the buff, but not so you don't want the destroy multiplies to go off. So you'd put this one down first, take one swipe, then put this one down, and also make sure these Juggernaut gems, yeah, they'll be fine. They're random. So with that in the gear, you're gonna have buffed red multiply gems. Much simpler setup. The one that I'll run just because it'll help with the shield and I don't have his gears is of course just this setup. Pretty standard, right? And so he'll do some damage, but be great for the shield. But he has the potential to be super good with the hard setup to run. Who else do I love here? DDP pretty good. Especially if you add a drip plate to the buff, but he's got a buff. And those aren't the moves. I forgot to switch his around. 35 random countdown gems. It makes reds. And then you got buffing your reds by 211% and then increase your black MP. So you're going to get 211% red buff. The only thing is DDP can't stack it because you have to swipe to get them to go off. So that's the downside with DDP. But he'll be really good too. And who else do I love in defensive? Like, Solo and Jacob are going to be nutty. Usually defensive sucks. This time there's a lot of good options. I think that might be it. I feel like I'm missing somebody, but yeah. So recap defensive. Jacob. Solo. I think Solo has the chance to be the best at this boss. Bubba. Foley. Hall of Fame DDP. I think those are your top guys. If you don't have any of those guys, anyone generating a lot of reds to help with the shield would be the way you'd want to go. So just pick whoever you have that can make reds and help with the shield. All right. Chaotic, probably the worst options. In general, very few. I love Cody, triple red for this. Titan plate, you can see the video I did on Cody. I think he'll do, like, combined pretty close to 1 billion. Turn 1 with the right setup. With the triple red. And Titan plate. Titan plate procs on the sub. Again, you can see more about that in the video I did on Cody. But Cody's going to be really good, both with and without the gear. Probably, I think he is the best option in Chaotic for sure. Mutant Seth will be solid, good at the shield, he'll do okay, he'll get stronger as it goes. Buff and sub over and over. And then it gets to be, as I think, a very, very not a lot after that, if I'm not mistaken. Those are the big damage ones. Everyone else, I don't think, is going to do big damage at Chaotic, to be honest. No KO, because no traps. So I think for Chaotic, the other ones, you would just, if you don't have those two guys, pick somebody that can do reds and help with the shield and bring your neutralize to remove the damage buff. That's really going to be the key. Oh yeah, Roman. If you have OTC Roman, you can just run him. He hits for like 300 million with his 99 MP build. That recycles. I believe it recycles. I don't know. I don't have him. But his 99 MP build is going to hit ridiculous without any buffs. So just run Roman as well for damage. That covers Chaotic, I think. Aggressive has a lot of good options. I think it's almost as good as defensive. Not quite, though. Austin, double red, because you can get a bunch of moves off. Just spam these two, keep getting the buff. Boom, 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 etc. If you can. If not, then you can start with a lower charge and use the leapfrog 1x5, but it's an extra move to get going. He'll be really strong. Bray, Muscle Man Bray, will be quite strong running the sub setup. So hit your sub. You're going to, blow up the board with black gems. Then you're going to hit your sub. You're going to have 36 random multiplies at strength 5. and then you're going to hit the finisher and have red gems go into 36 multiply gems. It's low charge, so you can get a lot of your multiply trainers. You can use subplates, you can use Hogan plate, a bunch of options. Bray will hit super hard. Vader triple red will be awesome. Make sure you're using Mosh, not Cherry. But Vader triple red, 19 multiply gems of strength 15. And that's without any trainers, right? So, or other trainers or coaches. So, Vader will hit ridiculously hard. He'll be very good. I think Vader will do like 500, 600 million though. Not quite as much as some of the other ones we talked about earlier. Ollie has a really good, if you have gear setup, and moment especially, this setup, you got 10 countdown gems, adding 20% extra, right? And you add solo, if you have solo, that's 13, so 260% gem damage. You can put a row of multiplies down, and then you can choose the 5x5 over the multiplies, and if you have the moment, much biggerly. So Ollie will be very good that way, especially with moments and gear and stuff. But even without it, he'll be strong. Brett, okay, not great, but okay. Showboat Brett, I would just run him these two moves. Sub leaves reinforces, and then 1x6 countdown. You'll have to swipe to set it off, and then it'll be double red. Won't be crazy, but it'll be usable if you have Brett there. It'll be okay for the shield, good for the shield because of the reinforce actually. Love KO. I think he can do about 500 million turn 1 if you can cycle triple red twice. You can see that video as well if you want to know more about KO, Showboat. He's a good budget pick. That's actually useful. And Batista's another great budget pick. He should be very strong depending on what you have. Piper plate, you have his gear and stuff. He's actually changing the pyros red, and he's making basically most of the board pyro. So Batista will be very, very strong with this setup if you have him gold. And spear, big boot, vertical suplex. One of the few that can take advantage of both buffs. Yeah. Who else did I like here? Oh, Seth Freaking will be very good. Triple red if you have him. Also very good for the shield. I think defensive is going to hit the hardest by far, to be honest. But but aggressive has some really good options too. Maybe more options at aggressive, but better options at defensive. Drew will actually be solid. Buff red gems right here in a boost so he can grow the damage a little bit. He'll be solid and be good for the shield. So, especially if you have the Miz moment and stuff. And he's got another moment, so Drew will be solid. Was there any... I think there was one more after Drew, I thought. Maybe not. Let me see. Yeah, Sammy. Oh, two more. Sammy and Bam Bam. Both of them. Bam Bam, of course, finisher, multiplies, and the choose. Multiplies are not as big as I would like, so Bam Bam will be okay. He's like half a Vader. So he'll be solid, but not, Vader's much better. And then Acro Sammy actually, Bunders mentioned Acro Sammy, and he's got a sub into countdowns that leave multiplies. So Acro Sammy actually has some boss utility here, because you're going to have 40 multiplies of strength 7. You're going to have countdown gems that make the board red, and then you have an increase move to recycle it. So with a sub plate like Dog Ear Gremlin or the new Brett plate, Sammy could be solid. And then let me just see if there's anyone I don't have on my roster that I thought would be good at aggressive. Nah. And so focused for a change is one of the worst. I think Ilia is probably the best. You can either do the triple blue. If you do the triple blue, I would run it this way. Make sure you get Batista in with the 200%. I have to. That's why his black moves are on there. With black moves, he does 200%. Use Batista with the 200% pyro in May, for sure. And then this would actually need to be Santa because you'd be... No, never mind. Batista adds blue. We're good. Yep, and then Tamatonga for extra pyro gems. I needed to change his too, so he's at 26k. So you get 3 pyro gems and 30%. Purple, not that we care about the purple. And then Mae Young for 100% pyro. So you can run that with Ilia, or you can flip the buff in and run the buff instead of the per damage pyro thing. Either work. It's your preference. So he'll be very good. Of course, Regal, if you have Regal with gears and stuff, he doesn't need buffs. He will have some pyro gems on the board, but not a ton, and they won't be multiplies, so it'll just be unmultiplied pyro gems. So I don't think the buff really matters, but you know, if you can hit for 500 million with Regal without it not in boss, go ahead and do it, right? I mean, so Regal's always worth saying these days, no matter what the boost is. Brett actually is really good for this one. Sub that leaves 40 gems that turn Snowfall red, and then finisher boost reds. So you could use the sub plate on Brett, and then the finisher with boosted reds, recycle it, keep going, that sort of thing. Blah, blah, blah. It's going to get bigger. So Brett's actually a really good option if you were to have him gold. Focus shards, you probably don't. Mentioned Regal. Sheamus, okay. I don't recall if his moment is universal or feud only. If it's universal, it'll help a ton with this build. Not the fastest build, though, so he'll be okay. I don't love him, but he'll help with the shield and do some decent damage, too. If the moment's universal, definitely better. But it'll help with the shield, so that's good. And then I think... Oh, yeah, Cowboy Bob. Solid budget pick, help with the shield, red buff. Right? Sub, generate 30 botches, buff your reds 100%, and then turn all of your botches into red gems at the end of the Juggernaut. But it's a decent amount of swipes, it's not super fast. Will hit okay if you have moments and stuff, but will also help with the shield, so he's very useful that way. And Cowboy Bob has this place where he can do stuff on lots of different rosters. Shield Breaker, you got Priest here. He can spam the reds with the countdowns and stuff. You wouldn't be hitting the stun. It would just be countdown, these two moves back and forth. And he can be really good at the shield. Not good damage, but really good at the shield. And of course, Collie, I would be remiss unless I mentioned Collie. He can do red gem damage, but he's hit or miss, mostly miss. And he's a bit slow, but he can change some reds, I believe. Let me double check. I always forget about him. Yeah, make 20 random gems into red submission gems. So you wouldn't use the buff for him, but he can do some reds and break the red board, the red shield, so he's not completely worthless. So he's an option. And a lot of people have taken him up as their focus guy. Because he can do some purple, he can do some red, he's got some buff, so he's not terrible. What else? I think Perfect might do some red stuff, but, you know. Keith Lee could potentially do okay with some red stuff in boss. If you have him, gold, you don't need me to tell you, though. You'd know if he's going to be good for you or not. And I think that was it for Focus. Usually there's a ton for Focused. I feel like none of them are super duper hard hitters. Ilia, I think, is the best option. And Brett and Regal are two, the second, I would say. Regal, you're only getting one cycle, regardless of what you do. Whereas Ilia, you're going to be able to cycle plenty of times. So I think Ilia is your best bet at Focused. Brett, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know how it'll hit. If he can get a couple cycles in, he could potentially top Regal as well. So there's that. Sheamus is just okay. So yeah, I guess to recap, kind of my top guys. Defensive, Solo I think is the best. Jacob probably number 2. I think Cody's the best chaotic. Aggressive has some really good hitters, but I don't know if you're gonna have people going in the billions turn 1. But I do really like Austin, Muscle Man, and Vader. Also Ali with the right stuff. Those are probably the 4 I like the most, I would say. As far as damage goes, KO is potentially really solid. Batista, really solid. And Brad is just kind of there for the shield with the reinforce, not solid, but a shield guy. And I'm sure, Seth will be pretty good too. But yeah, I think that about covers it, right? Really. normal boss, normal rules, nothing crazy. It's nice to have red. So I think that should help you out. I'm sure I missed something. Usually I like having more time with this. Sorry, it's so close to before boss. Boss starts in like 2 hours. I wasn't probably even gonna do it because I really like taking my time with these, but I think it's okay. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hopefully this helps. Other than that, guys, remember to like, subscribe, and share because that helps me out. And good luck out there. Bossy boss. Be interesting boss. I'm glad to have red.